There's Something Under the Boardwalk. Written by Mac Grimbridge 74. If you're reading this, it's because I have no other choice. Nobody will listen to me, not even the police. It's only a matter of time before they come for me, and when they do, this is the only evidence of the truth. There is something under the boardwalk in Paradise Point, and it's hungry. October is always a terribly slow month. We're barely open, but the owners want to squeeze every penny they can before this town is completely empty. Even on a Friday night, it's already a ghost town. That's where this all began. A cold, deafeningly quiet night at the record shop that I spend my days working in. Spectre's Records and Rarities. A store that really was dead in the water until vinyl made a huge comeback. We also sold shirts that you might find a middle schooler wearing, even though they wouldn't be able to name a single song off the album that they're donning. It really was a place frozen in time. The smell of dust and the decay of better days always filled the room. The best way to pass the time on a night like this would be to find a forgotten record to play. That was a favorite game of mine, finding an album that I'd never heard of and giving it a chance to win me over. After all, if I'm not gonna play them, who will? Tonight's choice: Secret Treaties by Blue Oyster Cult. Of course I knew Don't Fear the Reaper. Who doesn't? I never sat down and listened to their albums, even though their logo and the album artwork always intrigued me. Seeing the album made me think of my dad. I remember him telling me about seeing them live with Uriah Heep at the old Spectrum in the 70s. I bet he still had the ticket stub too. God, he loved that place. I even remember seeing him shed a tear the day they tore it down. The opening chords of Career of Evil blared out of my store speakers as I dropped the needle. Had my mind not been elsewhere, I wouldn't have startled myself into spilling my coffee. The previously white album cover and sleeve were now browned and tainted. Who would want it now? Looks like it was coming home with me. After all, a song titled Harvester of Eyes certainly had a place in my collection. The owner wouldn't care anyway. He had jokingly threatened to set the store ablaze for insurance money. Had this shop not been attached to others on this boardwalk, I wouldn't have put it past him. The opening track sold me, and given the state of business, I decided that it was time to close up shop. The only thing louder than Blue Oyster Cult was the ticking clock that sat above an old Plan 9 from Outer Space poster. Just as the second track reached its finale, I lifted the needle. I retrieved one of our spare plastic sleeves to prevent any more damage, and I stowed it away in my backpack. I took a walk outside to see if there were any stragglers roaming the boards. All I could see was a long and winding road of half-closed shops and stiffened carnival rides, lit only by the amber sky of an autumn evening. Soon it would be dark, and the boardwalk would belong to the night and all that inhabited it. The garage doors of the shop slammed shut with a finality that reminded me of the months to come. The sound echoed around me, only to be consumed by the wind. It wasn't nearly as brutal as the gusty winter months, but it swirled with the open spaces as if it were dancing with the wind. The padlock clicked as I scrambled the combination, and I turned to greet the darkness that painted over the beach. Summer was truly over now. The soundtrack of carnival rides, laughter, and stampeding feet was replaced with the moans of hardwood under my feet. Each step felt like I was disturbing somebody's grave. That was the reality of this place. 4 months out of the year, it's so full of life that it's almost overwhelming. The rest of the time is spent as a graveyard that is hardly visited. Maybe that's why I never left. If I don't visit, who will? Speaking of visiting, this was the point of my trek home that I saw Bane. They called him that because he was a rather large man, built like a hulking supervillain. In reality, he was as soft as a teddy bear, but unfortunately homeless. Even from the distance that I saw him, which was 2 blocks away, there was no mistaking him. I only ever saw him sparingly. He never stayed in the same place for long, and he often slept under the boardwalk. I often thought that he was self-conscious of his stature and didn't want to scare people. I could see that he must be taking in the same swirling twilight sky that I had seen earlier. Now he was merely entertaining the stars. Looking to my left, I saw that Vincent's Pizzeria was closing up shop. They must have had a better run of business than I had. I slinked over to the counter to see a solitary slice looking for a home in the display case. The girl working the counter had her back to me, and as I began to make an attempt for her attention, she screamed. "Oh my God, you scared me," she gasped. Chuckling nervously, I apologized. "I'm sorry, I just wanted to grab that slice before you closed up." I made an honest try for a friendly smile, and she laughed. Sure, $3. As she threw the slice in the oven to warm it up, she turned her attention back to me. "So, any plans for tonight?" I thought about it. I really didn't have any. I knew my ritual at this point. Work and then visit Mick's for a drink or two until I've had enough to put me to sleep. I was gonna head over to Mick's, maybe catch a game for a bit, I said. She grinned. "I know Mick's, right around the corner, yeah. Maybe I'll stop by. There isn't much else to do on a night like tonight." I handed her a $5 and signaled to her to keep the change. "Maybe I'll see you later," I said half-heartedly, giving one last smile as I departed. She waved and I focused my attention on the walk ahead of me. She seemed plenty nice. Might be nice to interact with someone. But first, I had something I wanted to do. Bane was right where I last saw him, except that now he was gathering his things. I approached him with some haste. "Hey bud, hadn't seen you in a while," I said. When he turned to see me, a smile grew across his face. "Hey Mac, long time." In my patently awkward fashion, I continued. "It's been dead out here, huh?" Without looking up, he lamented. "Sure has. It's that time of year. Certainly not gonna miss it." Puzzled, I pressed him. "What do you mean?" Once he finished packing his bag, he sighed and his baritone voice continued. I need to get some help. I'm going to that place in Summerdale, and I'm finally gonna get myself clean." He sounded so absolute in what he was saying. I couldn't have been happier. "That's great, man. I'd give you a ride myself if I had a car." I chuckled. That really did make my night. He took another deep breath. "I just needed to see her again." He revealed a small photo in his pocket, presenting it in his large hands. The picture showed a newborn baby girl in the hands of the man in front of me. "I haven't really seen her since she was born. Once I lost my job and everything just started falling apart." He trailed off. He shook it off to say, "I'm just ready. Tonight's my last night. I have my bus ticket ready to go. First thing in the morning. I just thought that I would take in one last sunset and say goodbye to the others. I saved enough money to get me one night at the Eagle's Nest." I was hard-pressed to find words. I didn't know that he had a daughter. It was a lot to take in, but above all, I was so thrilled to hear what he was setting off to do. Remembering what I had in my hands, I spoke up. "Hey, Vincent's was closing and I thought that you could use a bite. Since this is going to be the last time that I'll see you, I won't take no for an answer." We both smirked. He reached up for the quickly cooling slice of pizza. "That's really nice of you, Mac. I appreciate it." He reached his enormous paw to mine and shook it. "You too. I'd say that I'll see you again, but I really hope that it's not here." He chuckled as he swung the bag onto his back. I smiled back and waved goodbye. As we made our separate ways, a question occurred to me. "Hey, what's your real name, by the way? Maybe I'll look you up someday to see how you're doing." Without fully turning around, he said, "It doesn't really matter." And with that, he retreated into the night and left me to wonder what he meant by that. I was soon reaching the block where Mix resides. The pub was right off the boardwalk. The neon lights that illuminated nearby were shining across the face of the mighty King Kong ride. Thankfully, my work and home were all within a short walk of one another. Mix served as the ever-so-convenient median between the two. Mix was also where I picked up shifts in the off-season. They must have noticed the frequency with which I visited and decided to offer me a job. It was a solid gig. Mix was one of the few year-round places on the island. Locals gravitated towards it once the summer crowds dissipated. If I was going to spend my time there, I figured that I might as well get paid. Just as I was rounding the corner to the off-ramp, something happened. A loose board that hugged the wall greeted my sneaker and sent me tumbling down. All of this tourism revenue and this damn boardwalk was still old enough for Medicare. I turned over onto my side to see where my backpack had landed. It was adjacent to the culprit. I groaned as I reached over to grab it, when something caught my eye. Along the wall, hiding just below the wood, I saw what looked like a wasp's nest. It was peeking out of the dark at me, almost as if it was watching me. I peered at it with the light from the pub light guiding me. This wasn't a wasp's nest. It was a sickly, pale yellow. Its texture looked wet, almost as if it was hot candle wax burning from a flame, like it was breathing. I adjusted my eyes as I leaned in. It wasn't very big, maybe the size of a tennis ball. It was riddled with holes, craters that left very little room for much else. I couldn't help but glare at them. And then it happened. They blinked at me.